What is up? Good evening.
On of brains, you're going to be in trouble.
All right, guys, what is up? I needed a little boost there. Welcome. Should all be working right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Transparency. Appreciate you being here. Let's go with this one. Yeah, let's do that. Don't worry, I'm going to make it bigger. All right, so first of all, May 28th, you can meet Ada County. With preparation for the if you're going to be going to the trial for the Brian Culver case, they're going to be doing like a meet and greet for you to get all like the rules, courtroom decorum, and everything like that. So yes, if anybody thought that there was a sealed hearing today for the purposes of a plea deal, anybody that's in the know and has their email in to get media updates for purposes of, this was back when we were trying to get in as far as the poll camera. Yeah, no, that's not what happened today. I was not in there. I don't know what happened, but they just released a new update with you can meet Ada County right before the pretrial so that you can get all the information and ask any questions about how things will work for the courts for that big trial that they're expecting to be. Woo, you know. So again, good evening, everybody. Again, this is the University of Idaho student murders. We are going to be talking about who was ever interviewed. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the mods. I feel like as much as I go live and do shit, they got to be here. They don't have to be here. But so special shout out to all the moderators. Much love, as they know. They are much, much appreciated. Madison became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Madison. Violet became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Violet. No noise complaints. Love it. Crab B Penguin. Welcome, new member. So, question. Love the new camera. It's so crisp. What camera is that? This camera? It's not new, though. It's not a new camera. But hey, maybe it's just me, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Let's ask ourselves a question. I would expect to see in this discovery, this voluminous discovery, if they knew and were on a white car from day one, you would expect a lot of interviews from people that have white cars, right? Right? No? Yes? Maybe so. So I want to show you guys a little something, something. Okay. I'm going to take us on a little trip to ooh. I'm going to take us over here really quick, and then we're going to come back to that. The two most important vehicles, or the two most important sightings of the vehicle, is going to be right when what we've always said is, in order for this to be Brian Culver's vehicle at 326, right? So this is Ridge, by the way, over here. And then that's like, this is the apartment that had that right there, that window right there. It had the camera. Okay. So I want to show you guys something. This is East Lauder. Okay. a little further. Oh, where's I want to go? Okay. So right here at this intersection here is where you're going to talk about the first sighting coming into, see this right here? That's your 1301 Main Street, it should be. Let's see, 1304, just a little bit more. Okay. And then this is Taylor. Okay. But this is your 1301 address. So the most important sighting, 755 Indian Hills. Bring this right down here. This is when I did my live when I was down in Moscow. I came right to the spot right here. The 755. There's a sighting right here of the car. Oopsies. Damn it. So this is just, it was be heading this way. Oh, right here. And so a couple houses back. Let me just make sure that that's showing you guys shit. Okay, good. So right here, now I want to just so you guys get a feel for it. This car, poof, 3:26 and 10 seconds. So 3:26 and 10 seconds is at 787 Indian Hills. This is the vehicle that's matching the description of vehicle 1 is seen driving westbound on Indian Hills Drive. And now calculating from, well, first of all, westbound, and it's, oh wait, hold on. I fucking put us at the wrong one. 7, 8. I knew we were going the wrong way. I want to back us up just a little bit. Yeah, daddy, right here. So if you do some math, okay, you're going this way, westbound, and so 787, and then it goes down to then you're seen in front of 763 and then 755. If you're seen here at 3:26 and 10 seconds, and then you're seen at 763 Indian Hills at 3:26 and 35 seconds, just so we're clear, you're driving at a speed of 10 miles per hour. Okay? 10 miles per hour. Then, so the sighting at 787 here, this is the vehicle matching the description of vehicle 1. The headlights, then, which is seen, they say at 763, the headlights of a vehicle, just of a vehicle, are seen traveling westbound on Indian Hills. And so this vehicle would have had to be going 8, like I said, 8 to 10 miles an hour. And then at the 755 stopped from here at 763, then you're going to be at 755. Again, the vehicle matching the description of vehicle 1 is seen traveling westbound on Indian Hills. And that's going to be roughly 12 miles per hour to get from 755, which I'm about to take us there, to then get to the 1311 where we just were out on Main Street. From 3:26 and 43 seconds in the morning until 3:30 and 39 seconds in the morning, you are looking at traveling because the sun sets off a minute. Because the FBI has said that it is off and it's behind local time by 1 minute and 43 seconds per the FBI. So the question is when they put down the 3:30 and 39 seconds, is that the actual time or is that the adjusted time? Again, that's per the FBI. So we're going to do some simple math, and I'm going to show you guys on now the piece of paper, just so I can, I think it matters. Because this is, to me, this is the most important when you're going to go ahead and say that this is the car you're placing Brian Colbert in. All right. So here you go. Here, I got with Yuri, and he taught me how to do some math. So it might be better for people to look at it like this. So with that said, does this help our peeps? Okay. So to travel from this point to this point, which are just a couple houses, you can see it's 25 seconds at 383 feet is 10 miles per hour to get from the 787 address to the 763 address. Okay. Now, depending if it's at 410 feet, just depending on what part of the camera it picks up, then it would be at 8 miles per hour. Okay. So basically, when this car is driving, it is driving at a rate of 8 to 10 miles per hour. This car from here to here. Then in front of this camera location at 3:26 and 35 seconds, it gets then to this location, which is just what? You guys can see the math there. 8 seconds, right? 8 seconds. Vehicle matching description. So again, it's at 787 to 755, it's stop and go. Is that what it's doing? Stopping and going. Then now, this is going to be your bigger leap. From leaving Indian Hills and being seen on that camera that we just showed you at the South Main Street 1311, that's the AW gas station. I just showed you guys that. If this is in fact not calculated to put into the account of, okay, per the local time with the FBI is it's 1 minute and 43 seconds behind local time. The question is did they take into account for that or not when they put down the 3:30 and 39 seconds? So that would then push this back. So again, the FBI is going to have to answer to that because I don't know how they did that. Normally it's already converted. So let's treat it like it's converted. So if this is the correct time on channel 7, all right, but if it's not, then just so you guys can see how this was done. This is if it was right, and this is if they didn't correct it. So again, option A. Ready? If Sunset Mart's timestamp was 3:27 and 13 seconds, 1 minute and 43 seconds before is 3:28 and 56 seconds. See option A right here. It would take you 30 seconds at 3,940 feet at 2 stops, 90 miles per hour. There's no way that's possibly the Elantra. Like, we're doing math here, simple motherfucking math. That 90, bitch, we going 90 now. We were going 8 to 10. Now we at 90. Okay. Come on. Option B is I personally think that that's just not possible, unless you guys think that that's possible. Oh, where are we at? Okay. Vehicle matching the description of vehicle 1 is seen traveling. We already know that. Westbound on Steiner now Avenue, crossing Main Street, because that's where the intersection is, and continuing westbound onto Lauder Avenue. B, 883 feet at 6 seconds equals 100 miles per hour between 1311 at 3:28 and 56 seconds to 3:29 and 02 seconds. Not possible in an Elantra. Read B. I just read B. It is not possible. You'd be going 100. Option C, at 3:30 and 39 seconds is 1 minute and 37 seconds. After Ridge Road is 3:29:02. Car pick taken isn't same car. You guys want to see how that's done? Because you have to look at when it's seen then on Ridge Road. Right here. $3:29 and 2 seconds. 1125 Ridge Road, apartment 108. Vehicle matching the description of vehicle 1 is seen traveling westbound on Lauder Avenue through the intersection of Lauder Avenue, Ridge Road. So if it's seen through the intersection of Lauder Avenue and Ridge Road. So again, we're going to do some more simple math. So if this is, see this? See this? This is exactly what they did in the Moore case. Making cars be cars. People leaving, it doesn't matter. Making cars be cars. I want to know how they calculated that this was off 1 minute and 43 seconds per the FBI. Just where does that come from? That's going to be so interesting. How they determine that. Now this camera sighting here with the Ridge Road. Again, this is going to get to all the way. You guys know how this camera is, right? You guys want to see a picture of the? Hold on. Let me pull back up Ridge Road so I can show you how it looks. Okay. This little area just right here. This is what is considered Ridge Road, from like literally in front of this apartment and right where this basically street ends right here, because then it's considered Walenta, right? Like up here. Do they not let you go over there anymore? Shut the fuck up. Oh my God, stop it. Oh my God, do you see what they've done? They've ruined my fun. Can I really not go up there anymore? Shut the fuck up, these fucking cheating bastards. Dude, we could take the air up here all day long. Like, what the fuck? You guys, I was just showing, look at that. Who's this? Is that somebody in the road? Bending over? It's just the person, sorry. It's Brian. Wait. Did you guys see that? You guys are my witnesses. What is going on? I literally was just doing this the other night. Maybe I can get on Google Maps and it would still allow me. But just so you can get it kind of like a clearer picture here. This is this apartment building here. See where the yellow line is here? Basically, when you get to this little part of the road and you go past it and you go up that way, it just turns into being considered Walenta. And I cannot fucking believe that this just happened. Thank God, I have so many videos that I already did all of this when it was all able to be seen. Speaking of which, if you guys have been following my Karen Reed case, they weren't too happy about my hog heaven. They took down my video from last night. What a bunch of sour pusses. When you won, bitch. Idiots. Hey, okay, so let's talk about this. They change your I don't know what that says. Oh my God, I just can't believe it. Anyways, awesome. Absolutely craziness. Okay, so let's see if we can still see this then. If you come back over here, because I said that the jury needs to go on a little view. Okay, I want everybody to see. You guys see that median right there? All right, so here's this apartment right here. This corner window right there. You guys see that there's two cameras. One faces this way and one faces that way. Those are the cameras. So this one that's on the left, in my opinion, is the one that they have like this. Is the picture that they use is from the one on the left, because the one on the right, in my opinion, would get the back end of the car. What a bunch of fucking assholes. I can't believe. Okay. So those are those cameras. Now, do you see this huge ass median right here? See this? When you are traveling on this road, like literally, if you will blow your tires up, you will just crash if you try to go over this and jump this and think you're going to do like some type of U-turn or some shit like that. Okay. It's just not happening. All right. And so right here, this is Taylor. Look at over here off to the left. That's where it is all the, see, frats and Banfield and shit. Okay. I gotta look at these crazy things. So right here, do you guys see how there's a median here where Taylor is as well? Right there, and then there's one right there. You guys see that? Okay. So you are not, I want to back out just a little bit. So to pull out and think that you're going to go like this, to go like that or something, yeah, not happening. I mean, you can do it, but like, that's a good reason to get pulled over, I guess. Anyways, so yeah. So, but this is the route on the first time coming down here on 320 at 326 coming from Indian Hills. This is the way that the car goes allegedly. And then right here is not that one. One back. Is this one? Is it the next one? That's Blake. The one next to Blake is Linda Lane. So as the car is moving along here, then here's Linda Lane. And that is where the camera catches just the car driving, and it's like, oh, that's it. That's suspect vehicle 1. Oh my God, look at this is fucking wild. Okay. Let's look at this again then. All right. So all right, so if you're just joining us, this car just poof out of nowhere. 32610. Oh, why didn't it share it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Now, is Mark B in chat? Because we've been working on something. Mark B, tell the world that it is 100% possible for this vehicle to be the undercover cops. This vehicle, is this vehicle in fact the undercover police officers? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Which was there? Can you prove it? Well, we can. We crunch the numbers, and it's very possible. There you go. It is all we care about is the possibility. Is can it be? Can it be the undercover cop car? And yes, we were back and forth, and we determined that yes, it can be. I've always said that car was in a very interesting location, and Ann Taylor reinforced it when she said, "Where'd that video come from? Like, what were you doing over there? Why would you even think to go get a car over there?" Okay, so again, let's just back this up one more time. It's first seen at 32610, and I'm over here saying, how is it the first time it's ever seen? There is no video of it coming into the town. Okay, so we're going to argue for the fact of you should have somebody that did a neighborhood canvas that walked around this area to see who has vehicles that match that description, right? And you would want to ask them questions about their vehicle, right? So if there's no reports of that happening, that's a problem, right? If you're a juror, is that a problem for you? That's a problem for me. If all I have to go off of is this car, and here's the location that I have it in, you'd have to go and be doing interviews in that area. And it's called a neighborhood canvas. Justice says, I believe it is. Good. So for me, that's a question that I'm definitely I'd be looking in discovery for a neighborhood canvas in that area, and to see who all around that area had a white, sedan. If that wasn't done, you have to ask yourself why. So the vehicle is only going 8 to 10 miles an hour. That's indicative of how the police drive and how they were driving that vehicle that night to me. Okay. And then here, in order for it to literally be, well, then we have to, then usually, okay. So usually what happens, in order to say that a camera is off a certain amount of time, you use other cars that would be in the area, seen on other camera footage that has timestamps where you can look at your phone and DVR at the same time and watch some stuff happen in real time, like right after, to make sure that you can gauge that, okay, we're watching outside, this is happening right now, and what time does it say on the camera? Stuff like that. I'm curious how they determined, what was their methodology in determining that this video was 1 minute and 43 seconds off and that it's actually behind the local time. And so what they've done, like since the FBI did this report, in Dan Moore's case, the Idaho State Police did the report, and they already converted the time. So this would actually be the conversion. That right there. So 326, 326, 326, 330, but then 329.02. And it says that, again, when you look at them, you're like, wait a second, how does 330 comes, after 329.02? And so they're saying that the Sunmart AW gas station was off, and they determined this. I'm telling you what they decided that they did. They're like, wait, why isn't this car coming here? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, this camera has to be off. Well, we think there's even a bigger problem. We think that we don't give a fuck about your times, because from here to get to that point, your car would be going 326 and 43 seconds to 328 and 56 seconds. 90, right? I mean, what the fuck? So we've determined that whatever car is here isn't the same car that was here. Mark, how do you feel about that determination? We've determined. Now, next thing that we determined. He says, bingo, bitch. Okay. So that means there's two different cars right there, right? Next, let's go at 3:45 and 7 seconds with the headlights are seen traveling north on, it's by 1237, the Willenta Drive behind 1119 King Road. It takes 2 minutes and 1 second, they said. And so where did this car go, right? Headlights are seen traveling then back south. 1 minute, 39 seconds from 847. 3 minutes and 19 seconds at 4,817 feet equals 16 miles per hour. That car would have been averaging speed of 16 miles per hour. Well, that's consistent with the first car we saw, right? Going 10 to 15 miles an hour, 8 to 10. Again, you guys, that's so consistent for me of how cops drive around. They're always creeping. Cops are always creeping, right? Next, oh wait, here, let me make this just a little bit smaller. Now, after it has this car just behind Walenta, behind the 1119 King Road house. Okay. The next, remember I said it would have had to, it just like, fuck, what the fuck happened here? It all of a sudden just shows up on the shop camera from the 451 Paradise Drive. And this is when it indicates to do an immediate U-turn. It looks like it may have done an immediate U-turn back onto Ridge Road northbound. I don't know how they're saying the vehicle may have. I've never understood that. So then again, wouldn't you look in the Paradise area to see who has a white car like that? You would look in this area. You would look in the Walenta area, right? So we should have interviews with anybody that has these white cars, right, in the area. So how many interviews took place in those areas saying, hey, do you have, you're doing a neighborhood canvas to see what kind of cars people have. We did that early on. If I go and look at my December videos, shit, that's all everybody was doing was hunting down who had white cars like this. And so if these people were not somehow put onto a list when you would be neighborhood canvassing, when you're going around and you're writing down license plates and who the person is, and then if you talk to them, say, hey, we're interested in talking to people that could have been out and about, blah, blah, blah. Or light colored cars, right? Like a gray. If that's not being done early on in reports, then how can you say that that was even something that you were considering? So, for example, the state has to consider, or the state is going to have to figure out a way to tell this jury how they got to Brian Kober without basically the way that they said that they did in the probable cause affidavit, and for it to be believed. How do you do that? And then during cross-examination, hear things like, did you do a neighborhood canvas? Who did you interview with white Elantras? If you were onto a white Elantra, or if you were onto these light and dark or light and white sedans in the area, and you're having sightings at all these different types of addresses, where are these neighborhood canvases? And then did you interview people? Were you seeing if they had any connections to the victims, to the roommates? Because I will tell you this, okay? In the Dan Moore case, they did a quote unquote neighborhood canvas, and it never said why they were doing one. And it was 2 months later, and it never wrote down a single white truck in the neighborhood canvas. It was just in the area around the murder scene. Their neighborhood canvas consisted of doing this 2 months later, where they went around and wrote down any cars, who they belonged to, the plates, and then knocked on the doors and asked to speak with the owners and if they were home that night, if they heard anything. That's how Idaho State Police does a neighborhood canvas. And some people were like, I'm not talking to you. Other people said that they were sleeping. Other people said, nobody was asked about their vehicles, though. It was all just about, like, were you home? Did you hear anything on, that night? And they asked these questions 2 months later in the Moore case, in May. And the murders was in March. So I don't believe that these reports are there. And so I think that the state is going to struggle to say, well, if you were so onto a white car, why you put an internal be on the lookout on the November 25th, but you weren't going around neighborhood canvassing for one? Now, going back here. So who was interviewed? Who was interviewed? I went back to the police original statements of them conducting 38 interviews, and 38 then jumped to like 200. But it was like 38 interviews in the first week. And that was it. So November 13th to November, 20th? Let's go to these options. I love the game. We have options. Okay. Oopsies. So let's scroll back down here. Okay. Where's our option 1? Okay. Option 1. Headlights are seen traveling north by 1237 Willenta Drive behind 1119 King Road. Just so you know, we used also the video from Linda Lane, and we were listening to the sounds of cars coming back through. And so we were doing that as well as using this report. You know, you can hear cars. So option 1 is 59 seconds. U-turn on Taylor, which means down at the bottom, you would U-turn at the bottom of Taylor to come back up. Or that's option 1. Option A, this is going to get difficult here. If option 1, if you did the U-turn down at Taylor, that means you're going to be coming back up Willenta. Or option 2 is, where are we at? Yeah, where did the car go? Because you're both going, yeah, right here. This is the north-north and the south-south. And this is where I've determined that somebody shut off their lights. And that's how you get the north-north or the south-south together. But I can't believe, okay, they're going to have to explain this to a jury to say that in order for this car to just be the same car, it's doing the most fucked up shit. And this is all speculation. You have to speculate. I think that's the whole point of this, saying that this is your option A, this is your option B, this is your option 2, this is your option if it's over here. And how is this not this is purely speculation. Do you guys remember when Dylan had her first interview And she said in quotes, I went to bed between 3 and 3:20. Do you guys remember that? 3:20. Remember that? Like 3:20 is like an interesting number to use, right? 3:20. 3:20. And she doesn't text at all that we see that's been like disclosed to us. The last text that or last movement that they show for us is at 2:10. And then she says she went to bed at 3:20. And then during the whole commission of the crime, basically, Dylan isn't texting at all. Dylan's not texting at all. According to what they've showed us, like Dylan nor Bethany are texting at all. Like actually like during it. Like, so if I heard some noise at like 4:10, right? Which would have been upstairs going on, right? That's me waiting 9 minutes. Think about when you hear like a noise in your house, like you're like, what the fuck is that? Do you wait 9 minutes to like ask the person that you're there with, like, oh my God, did you just hear that? Like, can you imagine if I waited 9 minutes and said, hey, did you just hear that 9 minutes ago? I think I told you guys how Ann Taylor's going to almost have like no choice to, I don't know if you want to say like accuse the girls, but but how do you not? How do you not? How do you not say that you have to have something wrong? Like something's missing, but then you're like, look at our text messages. You know what I mean? Look at our text messages. And so is there a chance that what they heard was the frat kids, right? Because if they're going to say that this could happen on a night that Brian chose to go over there, and it just so happened to be on the same night that there was like this scuffle and fight or whatever going on with the frats, and they played pranks on each other all the time, and that they saw 3 people outside the window, you know, all that stuff, right? Is there any chance that what would make more sense to me is that this crime actually occurred? You know, is there a chance that this crime occurred potentially later? Because we've all been talking about that this happened, you know, earlier, right? But is there a chance that what Dylan's describing is the frat people, right? The issues that they're having with, and the reason she's talking about like Kaylee, you know, still coming up and down and being alive and whatnot. That why couldn't this have happened later? Because why couldn't it be that Dylan and Bethany are talking about an incident that involves the fraternities because of what Bethany says she saw, which was 3 people outside the window. 3 people outside the window. If she's saying that she saw 3 people outside the window and it was the same time that, because remember, it was Bethany that called Dylan. Dylan didn't call Bethany first. Bethany called Dylan. So if Bethany's calling Dylan because of 3 people being outside the window, right? And then I think what they're trying to make the saving grace here is that, oh, well, I saw Xana on the floor when I went downstairs. But you just assume that she was drunk, right? And I think the reason that I ask that is because do we think, as a juror, okay, like, why isn't Dylan dead? So, and I think that the way to kind of maybe go about it would be that what Dylan heard and what Bethany heard was everything that was going on between them and like the frats, especially when you're not, what time did Ethan and Xana get home? They lied about what time Ethan and Xana got home in the probable cause affidavit. Why lie about that? So, is the person that is seen, or the car that's seen like speeding away at that time, is that just somebody that was, I don't know, hooking up with Dylan? Is that somebody? I cannot see what type of car it is leaving. I don't know how they're associating that clip with the car that's coming in at 4:00 whatever. Would it matter if you were a juror in this case? Would they have to explain to you and show you all of this stuff? If the sheath was so powerful, right, then I don't care if fucking Brian flew in that motherfucker. I don't care if he like did it at 6 a.m. or 5 o'clock or like and then you go back and you remember, wait, they have to say that it's that, like that, because that's what has to lead them to him, because they never had a hit on the DNA. Because a lot of professionals that are police, they would say that the police kind of blew their legs off. Why would you give yourself such a small window? Why of the time of the crime could have occurred? And then I say, well, because it all is on this car. And then they're saying it doesn't matter about that. Like you could have left a different way. So people that are police friends saying that you could leave a different way. To limit yourself to like that, why would you do that? I just like to hear how police think. Because they think I'm too logical. They're like, you're too logical. I'm like, no, I think you guys are just fucking idiots. If I'm too logical, what are you talking about? So, I guess the question is the state is putting everything into the car because they have to, right? But when the jury goes back to that room, because I personally think that Ann Taylor is going to make it so that guys, this is not the car. So then what? So if the state's so that this has to be a thing, and then you have jurors that are going to be like, we don't care if it's not the fucking car. He did it somehow. Because his DNA was there, which I cannot wait to see how they're going to fucking introduce that. I can't wait to see how they're going to introduce this tip. There ain't no tip. Ain't no fucking tip. New Orleans lady said, I want to interview you like you are Payne and you answer my questions. And I said, like, Payne, I can't be that dumb. Is she in here? I said, Payne. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. Who did I look up? I looked up, well, Brian Kohlberger's team, we know this. Let's make this list for you guys. So Kohlberger's team is going to say that it's multiple weapons, multiple people, and I think the big things are going to be motive, opportunity, means. With the big one of this, if you can really hone in on a motive, people like to know about that, even though it's not even though it's not an element of it, but motive matters to jurors. A cleanup, right? And so they have a really good expert there. Any other ones I'm missing? Don't you think it would behoove the state to fucking test that blood, to make some moves with that blood, so that you could eliminate some of this stuff? I mean, I would have wow, there's 2 unknown male blood in the house. And we haven't even got to the one that they have not talked about yet. And I swear if it's semen, I'm going to go nuts. Muffy says, Lana, I love your channel, but my tiny brain has difficulty following your level of intelligence. And I'm not kidding. Okay, what all this is this is what the defense is claiming, that there was multiple weapons. And so just like the Delphi case, the jury heard that there was multiple weapons, that there could be. There was 5 to 6 unknown male DNA, and I think 2 unknown female. And I think the one then became known because it was what's her name's sister. There was drag marks. Looked like there was drag marks. Or I'm sorry, no. There wasn't drag marks. So it was like nothing was disturbed. And so it was like, how did Richard Allen hoist Libby, who's 200 plus pounds, and fucking lay her there because they admitted that this had to be a different position because of where the blood was, whatever. So you're not going to hear from, I don't believe, any ME that's going to say that there wasn't multiple weapons, because they're going to say they can't tell. I'm curious to know if they can, how they eliminate, if they can eliminate. Okay, that sheath. What knife goes in that sheath? Was that the murder weapon, the knife that they're claiming that goes with that sheath? Can you say for certain that that was a murder weapon? And the answer just so we're clear, is going to be no. That's going to be a big fat no. Oh, is Hector too bright? Sorry, Hector has his own mind sometimes. Hold on. Is that better? Hector's own. There you go. Thank you. Sorry about that. What the fuck, Hector? You're pissing people off, and I'm sick of it. What are you guys drinking on tonight? Tonight's Cinco de Mayo. Did you guys do anything? If you're Aunt Taylor and you got one shot at Nick Balance, here you go. How do you open up your voir dire with Nick Balance? I'll tell you what I would say. Are you familiar with Boyd Jackson? Are you familiar with Cy Ray? This is my Borg. Borga Borga. You know that place you go? Borga Borga? That's what I would name my Borg. Borga Borga. So are you familiar with Boyd Jackson? Are you familiar with Cy Ray? Are you familiar with AT&T Timing Advance records, right? Borga Borga. My next big one there, because she's trying to say that she doesn't have that much time, I call bullshit. My next question would be, who asked for your assistance in this case? Lay some foundation. I want to know where he's normally stationed. Where is he normally located? And Borg Jackson. And isn't it true? You got to ask him about the you got to ask if he ever saw the warrant, right? So Hipper might say that that's outside the scope, because you can just ask him that, and I would say, like, no, it's not. Or they just say "papow." I'd want some clarification on the fact that if he denies something, if I have material that can impeach him, that it doesn't end just because he says no. Because if that's the case, then you have to approach it differently, and you're going to have to show him the reports and ask him if he's seen the reports that Cy found in Discovery. Right? Has he ever seen these? Ask him what his relationship with Boyd Jackson's like. What is he? When he normally, did he have any phone calls, any communication with Boyd Jackson between November 13th and December 23rd? So let's say that he says yes. What happens? What if he says yes? I had him. What happens? I keep asking myself, well, what the fuck happens? Oh, I don't know. Is anybody that uses my PayPal, what's my PayPal account? I don't even know offhand. Will it tell me on my PayPal? I don't even know. Like, yeah, dude, I had those. Like, what happens? Nobody can answer, with a definitive what would happen. I don't know. I know that's my Cash App. Is that? I think it's my email. I want to say. Yeah, that's what I thought. Thanks, Marky. The Mind Challenge. Is it my email address or is it just the Mind Challenge? Well, I would disagree with you on that, Detective Mowry, because if he just says no, then it's over, right? That was my first question, is what kind of room do I have here? No, you don't have to show him anything. Just ask him if the records were available for him to access for more than 7 days. Well, but they were. We know that. Cy Ray and Boyd Jackson both are neck deep in digital surveillance, government backdoors, and enough geolocation wizards to make. If she has the records, it becomes impeachment at that point. Well, duh. But that's what I just asked. I said, if Hitler doesn't let, did you read his freaking order? If he denies it, it's done. Like, wait, no. That's why I wanted clarification on how I'd have to do this, because if you're shutting it down based on if I asked him, did you have these by then? No. All right, sounds good, buddy. See you later. Like, fuck you, dude. Hitler allowing only one question. Exactly. Hitler can suck my tits. Okay. I'm going to get a shirt that says Hitler can suck my nips. I mean, hip to the nip. I'm sorry. I think Ann Taylor should totally move on this motherfucker. Put a move in, Ann. You have his nuts, man. His orders are absolutely ridiculous. His language is crazy. So I'm going undercover, under the covers. Oh, Maury. Stop giving Steve Gonzalez all the sweet tea. Speaking of which, okay, I'm not going to put it on the screen because fucking Chris will come over here running with his pants down, twirling around his fucking helicoptering his dick around, and I just don't need it. AKA, he'll come and try to strike my channel if I talk about his fucking interview. Lame ass. I think they put it back up. Wait. Did they? Oh, yes. I beat it. I won. Zach. Family of cops. Yes. Next. Fuck off. I won my appeal. I said my Blizzard party, okay, I was not showing anybody's shit. Okay. I was using a map. Then I'm allowed to do maps. I'm mapping my life away. Yes. Take that, dick. Try to fucking strike my shit. Canton just doesn't like when you get close. Oh yeah, here. Chris McDoomy. I got time for this shit. Oh, what the fuck? What's his channel name? Interruption. What the fuck's his channel? Chris McDonough. What is his channel? Oh, interview room. Okay. God, such boring people. Interview room.
And she's okay. She's better than okay. You know.
See, I like Christine. I like Steve and Christine.
Steve, thank you again so much for coming on the program tonight. And we always want to just extend our sincere condolences and tell you how it's been about a year.
To get to that point, we got to get through this trial. So right now, I try just to make my days, our days, just as less stressful as we can, and that means sometimes just having to turn off the noise, having to just take a nap,
Totally.
Go to bed early.
I agree.
Just to get us through. It's hard. It literally like the red, white, the stars, and it was just like, did you guys plan this? And they didn't. So we had to do our mom had to give them like a total photo shoot. And they loved each other very much.
And they're both a little bit more outdoors. Like Bria asked to go fishing. She's like, let's go fishing. And Kaylee would go to concerts and camp overnight. So they enjoy the outdoors. And that's a little bit more something unique about them, where I don't know if Autumn would really do that.
I don't know if Autumn would go camping or fishing.
And Olivia's not big on the outdoors either. So,
me neither. I mean, I'm sorry, but I was never like, let's fucking go camping. Never once have I ever said like, let's go camping. No, I'll go like jet skiing and boating and then like get a hotel by like the lake. Right. I think that's what I would do. That's the type of person I am. But camping, like, no, let's just take the jet skis out, take the boat out, go.
Their own unique. Yep.
You go to work, and so we, as we're getting closer to this wedding, usually a fight would last a week,
That and one of the things I was wondering about is, what did your daughter talk about doing in the future? What did she want to do with her life? What did she see as her purpose?
See, like, that's so sad to hear that stuff.
Moments that others have, put their arms around you and your family.
Okay. Let's go to the Banfield one. Banfield's. Oh, it was on her personal thing, wasn't it? Fuck. Oh, here we go. Wait, was it like?
I'll go to jail if that's if that's what it comes down to. If you're gonna arrest when this stuff's gonna come out, or you could just let us figure it out on our own. Because I told him, you met a father who's not going to. I'm not going to remain silent. Not over this. My daughter would expect me to stand up for her, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'll go to jail if that's if that's what it comes down to. If you're going to arrest me because you need me to be silent and think I'm going to protect the guy who killed my kid. I'm never going to protect him. Once I knew that he was guilty, and that wasn't right off the bat. It took me a considerable amount of information and facts before I made a decision that, all right, they got the right guy. And then at that point, it was just...
Okay. See, this is where I think it's a contradiction, okay? If you have to consider a bunch of facts to get to that point of to know that he's guilty, that means that you have a bunch of facts. And so that wouldn't mean that you aren't being told anything. That means that you were in the know. That means that they were telling you things, the police, FBI, whoever was involved in the investigation.
What can I do to help? How can we get this over, get this process started, let people know that the evidence and the facts are there, and then we can just get this done? Because
there was a time I did have a conversation with you, a couple of conversations, I'd say like a year ago, where I feel like you really were concerned that he was going to get off. Like you were starting to really question the evidence, the case against him, the case that Ann Taylor was building. Is that accurate to say that you started to really fear?
Yeah, there was fear. There was such a lack of leadership in the courtroom. There was things that were just going all over the place, and nothing was really getting done. So yeah, I got nervous there. I had insight on things that are still not public. I knew a lot of different things that I just didn't understand why you would hide such strong evidence. And so you start wondering, is something else going on? Do they just want this case to go away to where let's just get it out of the community, protect the businesses, and once we're out of the community, we'll make a plea bargain and keep everything sealed. Maybe once the plea bargain's done, some of it comes out, but by then nobody even cares. And that's just a father just trying to struggle with how this process works. And maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was nervous, or just wasting my time worrying about things that weren't going to happen. But I didn't know. I just knew that a case shouldn't be going in the direction that it was going. And I was like, we got to do something. And, I feel like it got back, but it took leaving that community, which was something we fought. We wanted to keep it there. So, but in the end, is what was needed.
Let's talk about this detail that you've learned about Brian Kohberger. We were all shocked to see the photograph, the selfie that was snapped just hours after the murders in front of his shower. But you've learned what he did after that. What was it?
Yeah, I learned about a tally of some girls that were having conflicts and feeling like he was doing things that were making them very nervous, following them outside of the classroom, standing in front of the door, forcing them to go around him, basically forcing interactions. And they're just trying to do everything to avoid him. So how I understand it, they communicated this to management structure there. They said document things. They started documenting that this tally that they put together. And from that,
what is that called? You're saying a tally? What was that?
I thought it was called like the Brian tally. Is what it was described to me as.
I'm not sure. Is this the place he works?
Paula, thank you so much.
Yes, this is the classroom.
The tally. So from basically September October and 2 weeks in November. They had a tally. A tally would be like a running tally, like 1, 2, 3. I mean, a tally of what. So God, one of my roommates fucked her TA in our fucking house. Like, Jesus. I'm just saying, he was hot though. And then when I knew that I told him, I was like, so does this mean I get an A now? He was in one of my criminal justice classes. And he's like, don't fucking say a word to anybody. I was like, so I'm getting an A, right? So I'm getting an A, right? Because I ain't coming, buddy. I'm not coming to class, just so you know. I'll be here for my tests. Peace.
Teacher aid in.
That's the name of the classroom. I hadn't heard that name before, but that's what this is. So this is basically the classroom where he is working. He's making everybody feel uncomfortable.
It was the same roommate that fucked Adam Dunn and Jerry Springer.
Yeah, and
Love
the
you,
tally
Ash.
is when they went to,
One
I
of
don't
my
know
best
if it's
friends.
HR, but they went
Bad
to
bitch right there.
people in
Love
school
her.
and said, hey, I noticed something, this girl knows something, but it's still kind of hearsay. So then they're saying, document it, the time, the place, the things, a witness, those type of things. So they did do that, and that was going on, and that's how we found out that he missed school Monday after taking that photo, where he doesn't look sick to me, but what does that give him? That gives him a whole day to go over figuring out how they're responding to what he's done. So he could sit there and gloat and Google search, do the same things we were doing to try to figure out what was going on.
Or continue, if he's the guilty party, continue cleaning up, continue making sure that there's not a trace left.
Google search?
Well, I hope and I suspect that the searches that he did before the 911 call will do him in. The activities that he did before anyone knew what happened, those will be the final nail in this case.
Well, for a criminology PhD, doesn't seem very smart. I mean, who buys a knife and a sheath and a sharpener online and has it delivered to your parents' house? And who goes after a killing where the sheath is left behind and the murder weapon's disposed of to find a replacement knife and sheath
my
online?
God.
Who does that?
I think even if you're somewhat intelligent,
Wait, hold on 1 second.
they're responding to what he's done.
I'm still
So
kind
they
of
can sit there.
confused. So, because he kind of lost me there. So, the day, remember, the question is you found out something after you saw the selfie pic, or you found out what he did after he took the selfie pic, which was he went and bothered girls on a Sunday, and he stand in weird places to make. There's no class on Sunday. There's no classes on Sunday. And then he didn't go to class on Monday, allegedly. Now I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket here and say that if he would have Googled something before the 911 call was made, there wouldn't be a case. Like, Ann Taylor wouldn't have a case. Like, for example, if he was to Google search the Idaho killings, before the 911 was called, there's no case. Like, he's done. Okay.
Gloat and Google search, do the same things we were doing to try to figure out what was going on.
So,
Or continue.
and so, Steve, were you doing those things before 911 was called? You get what I'm trying to say? Like, he was doing the same things that we were doing. Yeah. We were all doing that after. Like, if somebody was to look at my phone and see what I was doing after the murders, they'd be like, what the fuck is all this shit on here? I'd be like, Yeah, dude, I run a YouTube channel. I was covering the case. Think about that. Think about wanting to commit the perfect murder. Just go be a fucking YouTube podcast creator, true crime. And then, yeah, dude, I'm covering the case. That's what I do. I have 75,000 pictures on my phone right now. You have all this information, you know, and it's like, I believe that they all knew about the 911 call before the 911 call happened, right? I don't know. I just disagree with that. But if he, now don't you think it'd be weird? So check this out. If he didn't Google anything about this case or wasn't looking stuff up about this case, I think that would be weird. Like, wait, why wouldn't he be looking up this case, talking about this case? This is his background. And so if he didn't do it, I think that would be weird. Right? You know, Steve talks about these bad acts or these tallies. I'm telling you guys, I called Washington State University and I talked to Dawn. And obviously she can't tell me things, but I just simply said, hey, have people reported stuff? And is it true that you guys aren't doing anything with people's complaints? Like, what's going on?
If he's the guilty party, continue cleaning up, continue making sure that there's not a trace left.
Well, I hope and I suspect that the searches that he did before the 911 call will do him in. The activities that he did before anyone knew what happened, those will be the final nail in this case.
Well, for a criminology PhD, doesn't seem very smart. I mean, who buys a knife and a sheath and a sharpener online and has it delivered to your parents' house? And who goes after a killing where the sheath is left behind and the murder weapon's disposed of to find a replacement knife and sheath online? Who does that?
I think even if you're somewhat intelligent, your human instinct, you know, you start racking your brain and you started worrying, like, what if if the cops knock on my door and say, whoa, we couldn't help but notice you bought one of these. Where's yours at? You wanted to have one. You want to be like, here it is right here. It's in my fishing tackle box. You know, some story he was going to make up. But
that makes sense. Just buying it yourself online. I mean, online purchases is 101 in criminology. Who is this guy? How could he possibly be in a PhD?
But he didn't purchase one. That's what I don't understand. These arguments. Like,
Program.
yeah, and but I've heard that he tried to hide that with a gift card that was given to him. He thought maybe he could avoid the transaction by using a gift card and then deleting all of his history.
That doesn't make any sense.
Proof that.
That actually makes zero sense because if you purchase it underneath your account, it's on your account. Okay? That actually makes zero fucking sense. That you would think that a gift card, when using your fucking Amazon account, would not still track to you. That's absolutely fucking diabolical to think that. Okay? And I don't understand this. Ready for this ding, ding, ding moment? King is cash is king. Why wouldn't you go and buy a fucking knife with cash at one of your stupid fucking department stores? I mean, absolutely. If somebody's just planning this to think, let me buy a knife. You know, the only thing that I could think of, if you want to talk about somebody that's like smart and was trying to get away with something, is that have you guys ever seen the movie, the fuck was it? God bless it. It's when somebody frames themselves to make it seem like they committed the murder, but they really didn't. And it was to expose how when you really don't have the evidence, you expose what people will do to make you guilty. What was the fucking movie? Oh, God. It'll come to me. I told you guys once before to watch it. It's like Presumed Innocent or it'll come to me. It's not Double Jeopardy. It's Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt. There it is. It's called Reasonable Doubt. Look it up. Watch it. It's so good. Reasonable Doubt. Watch it. And what he does is he's a reporter and he wants to catch the lawyer who's the big hotshot prosecutor. And what I don't want to give it up, so just fucking watch it. If I tell you about it, then I guess I would be taking away. It's awesome. So I'll talk about it on my next live, and I'll give you guys a chance to watch it. Okay? Is so good. Is so fucking good. It's like one of my tops. So those of you guys that know about that movie, think about that. And so my whole thing is that, do we think that there's any chance that you want to talk about that Brian got somebody else to do it, but here I'll make it seem like it was me, but it'll really be you. And let's watch the cops make evidence that's not there.
Was associated with this count. But
Where did you hear that?
There's some documents out there that talk about him deleting his Amazon history. And,
But the gift card.
Yeah, where'd you hear that? Great question there, Ashley. It's about time you don't throw fucking softballs. Beautiful question. Where'd you get that information from? Where are you hearing that from? And he's like, there's some documents out there about him. No, there is no documents out here with about the word gift card in it. Just like there's no documents that say, hey, we're the FBI, and do you think that we're going to let him off on a technicality?
Where'd that come from?
It's been 2.5 years, to be honest. At the top of my head,
That's a
I
lie.
don't know where I heard the gift card.
That's not truthful.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not sure if it's authorities or if it's just sort of in the reporting sort of ether.
Not even sure. I would definitely not say the authorities because I don't want to tie their hands to say that they gave me something that isn't an official doc.
What?
But yeah, I definitely heard about the gift card. But like I said, I've heard of a lot of things because I've had a lot of ears and a lot of eyes, and I did a lot of calls, and I answered a lot of calls, investigated, talked to WSU employees, talked to UI employees, talked to basically anybody who was willing to help a dad out. And there was a lot of people in the community that were willing to help me.
What else do you know that I don't know? That at this point you're sort of at the leading edge of it, and the
What a
fountain of
question.
information is starting to flow. The gag order we are soon to see pretty much gone. The documents are dropping. But what else is it that you know that we don't know?
We don't have any of Ann Taylor's briefs. I want all of Ann Taylor's briefs now so that I can show the world how Hitler was not truly showing what she was claiming in her briefs. I want those 1,000 pages now, unsealed now. Fuckers.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what everyone knows. I just know that there
That he's the guy.
Other aspects of the case that they want to drop that hammer in the courtroom, and that's where we're at. I can't share too much, but
So he has stuff that
I think it's coming out. I think
before trial.
Hitler's strategy is by the day we go into the courtroom.
How does Hitler have a strategy here? Hitler's strategy. I've heard it all tonight. Hitler's strategy. He's the referee. He shouldn't have a strategy, Steve. And I love you to death, man, but Hitler's strategy, that just doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't vibe well.
Some percentage in probably in his head is going to be out. And I've kind of heard that came from the media pressure. The media themselves, who had a challenge to the gag order, basically said, this is not something that is in law. Like, gag orders are for national security. Gag orders are not usually for an everyday crime in a state. I mean,
they're getting more popular, Steve. And let me tell you, I have been on a tear about the increased use and the broad range of the gags over these cases, and there's always the same excuse.
It's your guys' fault.
We got to protect the rights of the defendant. I get that, but if OJ Simpson could get a verdict of not guilty with the amount of coverage,
dude, how are you going to compare that case? It was a fucking political case, you fucking dumbass. My God, Rodney King just got beat. Fuck. And it's OJ Simpson.
On that case, arguably there's never been another case that's been as highly covered as OJ. And
this
Michael Jackson, same thing.
Michael Jackson?
There was a case, and arguably there's never been another case that's been as highly covered as OJ. And Michael Jackson, same thing.
Wait, what?
There was a case, and
Michael Jackson? What the fuck case is she talking about? Oh my God. Are we talking about Never Neverland? What are we talking about? Are we talking about him being killed by his doctor? How is she talking about?
Beretta. I mean, case after case after case, you can say highly publicized cases has still returned not guilty verdicts.
Okay, I have a question. Who, as a parent, would send their fucking kid to Never Neverland or to anybody that's an adult to fucking go play? What the fuck's wrong with you as a parent?
So it's hard to convince me that a lot of...
So you let your kid go do that, and then you want to say, hey, I'm going to sue you unless you give me all this, or I'm going to go fucking tell the authorities all this stuff unless you give me all this money. I think that's shit.
Publication
I love Michael Jackson.
Can damage the defendant. Sometimes it can work in their favor.
Yeah, for sure. I believe if you're innocent, it 100% helps you. And even if there's not a case that is very strong, the facts, as stuff comes out, you should be able to combat it. I don't know what
it's the media
really does, but to protect somebody who's guilty. I mean, if the facts of the case, as they come out, if those make you look guilty, you want silence. You want to hide it. You want to keep it. You want to keep it out. But most people would just be like, throw them out, and I'll prove them. I'll knock them. I'll knock them out of the park.
That's not what Richard Allen's team was saying. Richard Allen's team was saying, like, they gagged Richard Allen's team. Richard Allen's team, they wanted it to be a fucking public trial. They wanted all this shit. Okay. Ann Taylor wanted it to all be public to show Hitler made it, that first part sealed, which I think fucked it all up, fucked the flow of it up, of like what you can and can't talk about. Like, no, I can't argue my case that way. So either open it all or if you're going to rule to close it, then like I would have pressed on that.
Inaccurate.
The fear is that the fear is the poisoning of the jury pool with
you,
facts that
you people. No, it's not about the facts. If you reported the facts, there'd be no fucking problem. But none of you guys can fucking report the facts. That's the problem. You want to see a document, and then you want to just pick and choose little sentences to then put together as a paragraph. And woo, we just covered this case, and it's not even what it is. Like here, Idaho student murders. Steve Gonsalves breaks open gut-wrenching new details.
may not qualify to be entered into evidence in the trial, and yet there they are. They know it anyway because of the media. But I keep going back to OJ. Plenty of things were suppressed in the OJ case, and it was...
And they should have been. And they should have been.
all over the press. Karen Reed is another case. There's a case that is at retrial now, and it is a constant. I mean, there's docu-series, there's dramatic series, there's all sorts of coverage on Karen Reed, and she had a hung jury. So we'll see what happens this time. But I'm not one of those people who believes that a gag order serves American jurisprudence. We pride ourselves on having such a pristine, open, honest, and transparent system of justice in this country that everybody gets a fair defense. And if you're guilty, away you go. But you get your defense, you get your day in court, and that's something we should all be very proud of. But is there a detail? Is there a fact pattern, an area in this case that you got blind spots and you are waiting? It is the specific area that you want resolved the most, details that you're waiting for the most.
You know, I've always questioned why there wasn't more some warrants on certain things, things that have came out. I follow the warrants because the warrants kind of, I feel like, are like the cheat code to figuring out where the truth is. When you hear these suspects, but there's no warrant related to them, then you can kind of toss those out. So I've made inquiries on certain things like, why have we not heard a warrant about this or that? You know, maybe accounts for my child, things that I know personally about. So those are just trying to make sure that the case is perfect and everything is right. It probably just me worrying for no reason. But those are the type of things that I'll ask Shannon to reach out and say, hey, can we make sure that they know about all these accounts and, clarify everything.
But there isn't something forensically like, I personally keep thinking, how did the killer get out the sliding door of the kitchen, get to the car, get into the car, get to wherever the dumping ground was to get rid of the bloody clothing, the knife, and all the other implements of the crime, and get back to an apartment, and if it's Koberger's apartment, all without leaving a forensic trail that was, a beacon of blinking lights, because that didn't exist. And I keep wondering, what did that killer do to hide those tracks so well?
It's what if I said the killer actually wrote what he would do? Because Brian wrote a paper saying how he would go into a crime scene and not leave any evidence in that crime scene. So I think you just need to read what he wrote. He wrote exactly what he did, and he probably did.
You guys do know that's straight out of it's a textbook. That is straight out of a textbook. That's copy, cut, and pasted straight out of like handbooks for classes that lead to like policies and procedures, AKA the police policies and procedures. There's a class. So that's what it's called. Policies and procedures. It's a fucking class. And if you don't know that shit, you're not passing. And the guy that taught the class that Brian took, he was a trooper. So I can't remember if he's still one or if he was like an ex-trooper or whatever, but he was a Pennsylvania State. Like, I could tell you the name of the class, what semester he took it, the level, and his teacher, and I got the syllabus. So suck it all the way. Like, that's not even true. And the person that taught the class was a trooper from Pennsylvania State Police. So there's that. Unbelievable. More.
Who knows what he learned in that Reddit post where he interviewed criminals that got caught or got away with different crimes, and I believe he incorporated those into his night of action. So I think he came to that slider, opened it up whatever way he did, left it open, left some things out at that slider, part of his kit, part of his plastic bag, whatever it was, went in, did his thing, was covered in a Dickie outfit from neck to toe, had this hood thing on that they also got that coming to his house. If you attack this guy, you wouldn't scratch him. You wouldn't be able to get your hands on him. The only place would be his eyes, and gloves on. I think people underestimate if you know what you're doing and you want to go in there and you got a mission and you've been planning it out, you can get into that house. I've seen the models. I've seen the 3D models where they're in and out, sometimes in like 5 minutes. So there's a couple of them depending on the path that they take. But yeah.
Wait, what?
I mean, when you really watch a timer and you see the amount of time this person's been in the house, he had more than a Dickie outfit from neck to toe, had this hood thing on that they also got that coming to his house. If you attack this guy, you wouldn't scratch him. You wouldn't be able to get your hands on him. The only place would be his eyes, and gloves on. I think people underestimate if you know what you're doing and you want to go in there and you got a mission and you've been planning it out, you can get into that house. I've seen the models. I've seen the 3D models where they're in and out, sometimes in like 5 minutes. So
I've seen the 3D models that the FBI haven't even finished yet. Dude, if Ann Taylor is not watching these interviews, I mean, she doesn't even have that. She couldn't even get that. She was saying, we asked for that. How did you see it? But I'm starting to think that he's saying this stuff just to say it. And that's what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing I don't know why you would need to play games. Like, if you got Brian Clover by the nuts, you don't have to play cat and mouse games with Ann Taylor and say that, oh, I sent her on that goose chase and she's chasing down all of our leads that we had people calling in for. It's like, what? Like none of this is accurate. And in fact, I mean, if you've been paying attention to the Karen Reed case, Karen Reed's case has shown that they've gone and got all these interviews and
a couple of them depending on the path that they take. But yeah, I mean, when you really watch a timer and you see the amount of time this person's been in the house, he had more than enough time, and then he got right back out. I mean, his door to the slider is the same technique that he used to the doors into the room. He just didn't want to touch anything. He went in there with the plan, studied. I mean, he spent years and years in these classes just reading and admiring, really, just admiring these other killers. And he was basically planning out to do his version of what they did and incorporate what they did and their mistakes and try to be that much better than them. So I think that's what you're going to see. You know, he went in there, had a plan, did what he did, and then he bailed. And he bailed, and he had a shovel in the back car. I would assume that the shovel had something to do with wherever he went. He buried that thing and got rid of that. You know, maybe he had plastic on the seats. Maybe his trunk was lined with something. Tosses it all in there, and he's gone. And the path that he took, there isn't even street lights. I mean, it's dark roads and nothing but
the path that he took. You know what path he took? The cops don't even know what path he took. God. Nick Balance, I hope you fucking God did not fuck this case up, because this dad is coming for anybody that's fucking this up, man.
Fields, open farm fields that you could drive on.
And water. Lots of lakes.
Lots of water too. So I don't think once he got to that door, he was gone. He was gone.
Do you think, again, if it's Brian Koberger,
You guys, there is 100% a cleanup. 100% a cleanup. So none of this, then who cleaned up? Why would anybody need to clean up if it wasn't the killer?
say that because he's got his day in court, he's innocent until proven guilty. But if it's Brian Koberger, do you think he, or when do you think he chose his victims?
That night?
I wonder. Like I honestly, my personal thing is he probably did it in Pennsylvania when he gets the murder weapon. You know,
what?
When he sends that to his house, he's made a commitment internally that that's what he's going to do, and that's where he's going. And I think that there's murders out here, you know, in this area of the Northwest that intrigued him, and some of them, the people were never caught. You know, there's like a Lewis and Clark killer, got away with 5, even killed somebody from U of I, and then was never.
But when do you think he chose this house and these kids?
With social media, it could have done it long before, but
it
really comes down to like how in tune he was with. I personally think he was listening to 911 calls. I think he had an ability to listen to those calls, and he was just being a fly on the wall for a few weeks and figuring out what was going on, where the parties at, where were the girls at, what were things going on, where were the cool, popular kids at. And then he just started doing his thing and started doing a surveillance. He started driving around like at least 23 different times. He was driving around.
That's going to be disproven.
Road, you know,
that's going to be disproven. God, he really has just swallowed everything that Nick Balance has told him. I feel bad. You know,
you can say he was shopping, but yeah, good luck trying to convince us all that you were out shopping it.
Have you heard any information that he was driving around any other homes? The number of times that he was driving around 1122 King Road? Like, did they have police ever said we've discovered other surveillance where he spent an inordinate amount of time around another house or another location?
Great. See right there, Ashley? Now that's a fucking good question right there. Cheers. That's a good question. Because if they did his pattern of life for the 3 months before, yes, there would be that. Okay? So I want to hear this answer. I want to say thank you. Noel gifted 10 memberships. Happy Tappy, 28 months. Who got green because of Noel? Michael Clayton, welcome. Shake it. I shook it for you. What is up, Crime Land Justice League of Channels? Is that right? Is that right, Miss Taylor? Miss Taylor, I know how you know how to handle these Idaho boys. You did it in 2019? There was a girlfriend, and they said that the girlfriend killed the kid. Acquittal. Not a hung jury, acquittal. Yuri's math teacher. We're mathing it over here. Thank you, buddy. You the best. 5 greens. Jesse316, they found BK on traffic cam when looking at all the area videos. They knew he'd have no alibi, got a hunch, but have no evidence, so they framed him. Jesse316, thank you so much, $4.99. I just can't wait to hear this shit and get my fucking little. As soon as they start ripping off some shit, I'll connect that shit. I'll just be pumping it out. Blue Eye Candy. All I see right now is a bunch of no probable cause. Do you think WSU Kim and the dot person or the person she got her info from could be called in this case testified by the defense to support all suspect? I would think that her daughter. I don't know if you can go. Kim's stuff is hearsay, but it's fucking money hearsay. That's what I think. I think the defense might use Dave and possibly someone else. But yeah. I think the three people standing outside, and I think punching somebody and being punched in the face, and to know that they were punched in the face versus like, I don't know, like, I don't want to be graphic, but if you take someone's head and just start jamming into the wall, okay, how do you know that they were punched in the face versus like something was used like that? I mean, I guess if the wall isn't fucked up, or like take their head and be bashing into the ground. So yeah, punching versus, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be graphic. But I'm just, she knew that. No, well, Michael Jackson is innocent. I love Michael Jackson. $999.99. Thank you so much. Well, you're a sweetheart. Thank you so much for supporting me. Literally. You're a boss, babe. Michael, thank you. Fuck yeah. Shake it. I think this is going to be the biggest trial since O.J. Simpson, in my opinion. I think it's bigger than Karen Reed. I think it's bigger than Casey Anthony. It's way bigger than Delphi. I think the University of Idaho student murders is the biggest case since this was, because to me this is like the Delphi case. This was like a manhunt. You know, it was like a, we don't know who done it type of thing, and you got a guy that's saying he's innocent, right? And so here, let's take a look at like the evidence, and he's claiming he's innocent, and his lawyers are claiming that he's innocent. You know, just like the Karen Reed case where she's claiming that she's innocent, her lawyers are claiming that she's innocent, and they're saying that she's framed, you know, framed by well-known people and connected people to the law enforcement world. And guess what? She was 100% framed. That's not their first rodeo over there. And so I've now witnessed now here in Idaho, you're going to sit here and tell me that the Brian Drake case, total fucking debacle mess. They suck. Same people are investigating this case, and they use basically the same thing to say that there's this car that's circling the fucking crime scene, circling, and then they're going to go and commit the fucking killing. Same thing in the Moore case, circling, and they're going to walk on over and commit the murder. Absolute fucking unbelievable how close those, like, these two cases truly are. And yeah, unbelievable. And then what they did in the Moore case is they took out clips that would have shown something else, as well as they took out one of the star witnesses' vehicle leaving before to ever be able to even see a white truck circling. So just like in this case, Linda Lane is now missing, and Linda Lane is so important to say that these headlights, it's fucking crazy. And Linda Lane was there. So let's see what the answer is here. But you guys rock. Thank you so much. I hope that WSU Kim fucking testifies. Wouldn't that be something? And I hope when she's on the stand, she tells Melissa J to suck her ass. That's what I would love to see. And I'd shake my bell for a minute straight. Probably get some calluses. Welcome, Crystal. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Dream Team. Do me a favor and hit the thumbs up. Also, if you're not subscribed, I want to get that next milestone so I can just say woo-wee.
No, they have said that.
Okay, here.
An inordinate amount of time around another house or another location?
No, they have said that he spent an enormous amount of time around that address, and I think maybe
They
that's
can't.
what
They
were
can't.
trying to say when-
Dude, what have they told this man? There is zero evidence that they can even say that. That's speculation. And Cyril said in his affidavit, which I all in on, that the data doesn't even say that. You're going out here and saying that he was by the house for 23 times or something. And that's not what the data shows. And here, literally, Steve is on a campaign for Nick Balance, basically. That's my gut feeling right now, is that he's just saying everything that Nick Balance put in a report a long ass time ago, and now it's going to get blown the fuck up. And I think Steve knows it's coming. My gut feeling tells me that Steve knows that this big fucking explosion is coming, and it's going to really shake some shit over there. That was my first question tonight, is what happens when it comes out that these things happened. And I think Hippler over here will, hey, you want to treat them all as a group, and that, one goes down, they all go down, right? Well, that would mean that they don't have probable cause for Brian Colbert. That would mean, does this get tossed?
He said this was targeted, and I feel like those were weird words to use. It made it sound like the kids were involved in something that made them targeted, and it started a bunch of rumors. But I think it was targeted because they were doing that caste system, and that dump let them know exactly how many people were in that area that really weren't supposed to be there. They could see normal traffic, normal like roommates and people that were supposed to be in those apartments. And then they could start seeing, okay, this is somebody that's leaving, coming across the state line at a really unusual time. And they started, it's a process of elimination. Who's in this area during these late nights that might not belong here? And
do you understand that he's basically saying that they did months worth of geofencing? There's no fucking way. For example, in the Moore case, they got 1 hour that they did from 7 to 8. That was it. They didn't check to see who was coming into the area and who wasn't supposed to be there, and trying to get, his Dr. Drake's path of life down to, okay, what nights does he stay up here, or when can I pull off this fucking killing? I've never seen a case. Think about this. What case have you ever heard a detective get on the stand, or a FBI agent get on the stand and say that we did tower dumps for you hear about one particular or two or three or four particular phones doing the historical stuff. You don't hear of months worth of tower dumps to see who's been in this area from, like, I've never heard of that. I haven't seen one search warrant for that. I've seen tower dumps only for 2 hours, and it was just it was Idaho. It was Moscow. There's no fucking way. So I don't know what he's talking about. He can map out like the 60 out of the 60 phones that they got and do that with those 60 phones. But to say that it was a process of elimination to see who was in that area, you understand that? A process of elimination of 3,800 people. This is just not accurate.
I think that's what they're going to show, and I think they're going to show an extensive, like sometimes minute by minute timeline where they know exactly where he was at, and they correlate that with cell phone activity with the girls, what they were doing, where they were at. People, that cast system for all those girls has all been there. The only records that were missing were for the person who turned their phone off, which again, who turns their phone off at 3 a.m. in a college town
to go stargazing.
And then, like we said, where's your stargazing app? If you're out there, you got this app.
No one said that he was
stargazing.
stargazing.
Don't play us like fools. Don't just expect us to think you're just walking around clicking at the sky.
Well, that's when the reasonable nature of a juror comes in, right? Like, what's reasonable to you? Is that reasonable? Does that really sound like your gut feels good about that? And jurors are usually pretty good at that stuff. Let me go back to something you mentioned about, I think you said someone reached out to you who had taken one of Brian Koberger's Reddit questionnaires. Is that true?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
We actually got a letter on that one, and then in the letter was a number to call. This individual said that they had been called, they got the Reddit. Somebody called to survey them on crimes, and he was like, I felt like I was getting set up by the cops. So I was just like, I answered it kind of like over the top. He's like, I kind of embellished some stuff, kind of pulling the cop's leg, hung up. This guy calls me back a couple days later, and we start talking again. And he goes, and I start feeling like this guy's like enjoying how I was describing how I was getting away with, like how I selected my victims. And he said, so I told him, I knew these neighborhoods that had a lot of money, and somebody might drink a little too much wine. Somebody might make a call to 911 over a noise complaint. Somebody goes to jail. And when that male went to jail, I'd go to that house, surveil it. And if it looked like there was somebody in that house that was passed out, I would go rob that house. And that's how he picked his victims, I would say. And he would rob them from jewelry, and I don't know what you do nowadays. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but maybe cash or something. But he would rob them. He said that Brian seemed to enjoy his story, called him a couple of times. He said he was so odd about it that when this case came forward, he was like, I know exactly what this is about. I'm going to reach out and, maybe he's pulling my leg. There's been plenty of people who have sent us stuff that weren't accurate, but it always stuck with me. It already stuck with me.
Maybe he's pulling my leg. You didn't vet him, Steve?
That one was one of them. And there's other stuff that other letters that we've given back to the prosecution and said, we don't even know what to do with this. And they've taken it. So
that was my next question. You shared that with prosecutors. They were interested to hear from these people?
Yeah, I don't know where it goes from there, but yeah, we've definitely given them the letters, and it's kind of like it just seems like it's a dead end. You never hear again. I was hoping I'd get my letter back, but no, we never got anything back, and I've never seen anything like that in the list of evidence, so it probably turned out to be nothing.
It's a nothing murder, but it stuck out to you. But it's probably nothing. Something's brewing. Something is brewing. 100. And it's not good for the prosecution. That's my thought on all of this shit.
How you doing? I mean, we're 2.5 years. We're down the final stretch here, Steve. You're only a couple months away from jury selection.
It's a new feeling to know that you're coming to the end of something that, it's been 2 years of your life, over 2 years of your life. And, try to think like, what should we do as a family? Should we go on a vacation? Should we do something? Like, how do you have a next day of your life when your life's been invested and
Yeah, I agree.
so dedicated to one thing? It's not just me and Kaylee's sisters are super dedicated, and everybody's worked on this case, and then you can't let your mind go.
You can't.
So yeah, we're trying to figure out something, but we have to start planning now that it sounds like some subpoenas went out, and I would think if they're going through that, the trial's going to happen when it's supposed to be happening. And
subpoenas went out. Shit, that's interesting. Subpoenas went out. Out of state ones have to be out a lot earlier than in state. Interesting. Subpoenas went out.
Who got subpoenaed?
Ooh.
I can't say who got a subpoena, but
Family members?
Some people got subpoenaed and basically told them they need to be available for court. So I think if that came out, then we're going to be sticking to the schedule that Hippler's put out, and that's what I really appreciate, because we've got a lot of money invested in where we're going to stay.
We have a lot of money vested where we're going to stay. I was just thinking about that. Oh, God. Okay, so these are the options on the subpoena. If he heard about it, Jack D. Maybe Adam. Showalter. Roomies. You guys, if Ian Harsh gets called to that stand, we are fucking gonna. Ian Harsh has been silent. Enon, where are you? Who else would he have heard about? Private driver. There you go. That's what I think.
And we were well informed by media that there was going to be a rush for houses that would be large enough for my family. And so we got that. So hopefully, we can show up and everything happens on schedule. So we're not jerked around anymore. But, some people are trying to say that they need more time, even though they've taken more cases on. And they should have never have done anything like
That's a dig at Ann Taylor.
that after they strung us all across the state of Idaho. And now
But you know that subpoenas have gone out. That means that there are dates that
There already are
dates. They're going to lock in.
They've already locked them in.
Yeah, and that's what I got looking forward to. So,
Steve, were you subpoenaed?
Maybe I shouldn't look forward to it, because once we go to court, who knows what that's going to look like. But not knowing.
It's the end of the tunnel, you know, and it's been a long, dark tunnel, that's for sure. And you deserve to be out of it. You all deserve to be out of it. But I agree. I don't know what the answer is. What's on the other side for you and your family? This has been you've had a new identity for the last 2.5 years. What will it be after?
Yeah, and I've told people before, but my wife and my daughter, Kaylee and Maddie, they all love that true crime stuff. And I always thought to my back of my head, like, I ain't going to get caught watching any of that stuff because that's somebody's real family. That's somebody's real dad or somebody's real mom, or that's their wife, you know, and lo and behold, it happens to me. So
one thing I will say at CrimeCon, I had a real epiphany from John Ramsey, John Benet's dad. And he said that he would avoid a lot of that for a long time. He thought it was so macabre, you know. And then he realized when he was at CrimeCon, how many people loved him and how much support he had and how many people are dedicated to justice, you know, like the real true crime fanatics are in it. Not everybody, but a lot of them. A majority of them are in it for the justice. And that made him feel a lot better. He suddenly felt a sea of love that he didn't even know existed before. And that made me feel really good. I felt, for a guy who's been through what he's been through for 30 years, made me feel a lot better.
Why do you think they didn't use IGG in that case, Miss Banfield?
For him. But
yeah, sure.
You're in the club, right? You're in the club.
Well, I'm sure that guy had it even worse than most, because at least I got another guy that, you know, is actually responsible. But, you know, I get a ton of hate just because I'm vocal and I'm out here saying, hey, let's get him and let's go for him and let's get the evidence out and all this. So it brings a ton of hate my way. But that guy, I imagine he...
No, just, I mean... Steve, I don't think people hate you. I think people are confused. I think people are so confused because you were the most vocal about the investigation, and the investigation didn't change. Like, the investigation was the investigation. It didn't change. Even if you have a name at the end of the investigation is shit. Okay? And you knew it was shit. And then you had to try to do everything that you could to, like, damage control my mind because it is shit. The investigation is shit. You were right. And then you went and kissed ass, which, hey, that's you do what you do. But we were all on the same page about this investigation is shit. What the fuck is going on? And now I'm just supposed to buy in because you have a name at the end, but not worry myself with what the fuck has transpired for the past 6 weeks. And when I started hearing things about that there's other people's blood in that house, and hey, like, how do you know that Brian didn't, even if you want to say it's Brian, that he didn't do it with other people? Because I'll be damned if anybody's getting off killing my motherfucking kid. And that's all I would expect, like, to be like, okay, well, are we sure who's this blood belong to? And you know, since he was doing that whole Reddit thing, you don't think that he... So that's where my thing is just, it doesn't change it just because there's a name. Just because you have a name, and we know now that the investigation was shit, it will always be shit. And it is what it is. So, but I think anybody that gives and does anything like to these families, they're fucking assholes. Okay. I can disagree with Steve all day about whatever, or I can agree with him all day about whatever. But at the end of the day, I have absolutely no right, and nor does anybody, to do anything to another human being, like harassing people. Fuck harassing Steve and Christy for. Like, that's insane. Anybody that's doing that is absolutely off their fucking mind. How do you harass a fucking parent that had their child murdered? I can disagree with with what he says. That's totally different than me I would never, like, when I hear about that, that makes me sick. Like, he has the right to believe in whatever he wants to believe in. I have the right to believe in whatever the fuck I want to believe in. But I'll be damned if you would ever find me up here agreeing with anybody that would be treating these people like fucking pieces of shit. Like, and at the end of the day, the people that are telling the parents what the fuck happened are these police officers, is law enforcement, right? Hey, they have to see, they have to go to bed every night. And how I look at it is, it's Steve and the rest of the families, all families that have to deal with something like this in life. All you have is what the police are going to tell you. And so you like, hey, I want to see some police reports. Maybe at the end of like, you know, your trial, you'll get to, I want the whole case file. But yeah, it's, I mean, people that would be harassing them or doing shit to them, what fucking fools. And not like I said, I expect if I'm in Idaho and I see them, they'll be the first people that I'll be offering to buy a beverage for if they want to go have a beverage with me. Because I'm fun. So I don't know what is up with this case, but it reeks. It reeks. I want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. There is no way that we believe the car on Indian Hills, Trails, whatever they want to call it over there, that car is doing 8 to 10 miles an hour and then all of a sudden starts doing 90 to 100. So, sorry. Not the same car. And then I want to know who got interviewed that owns any of those cars, whether it be November 25th and after, whether it be before that. And then I want to know, are we going to hear from Brian Culber's neighbors? Are we going to hear from Brian Culber's neighbors? So I will be back at it. It won't answer many questions for you. You know, 5 Green Acres. Not all of your questions will be answered by watching that video. So I think that's misinformation there. That's misinformation. But I 100% agree with True Crime Design and Pavarotti and Drip Drop and Harsh. You know, there's aspects of this case that that would expose things that would make a lot of people it would make the 2 universities look like complete shit. Yeah. I mean, using kids in college as your little fucking like your little CIs to do little stupid fucking like coke or meth or whatever, like sell this so that we can bust, like, fuck you. That's what I think. I think that's bullshit. Why are you using kids that are in school that are trying to have a career? Who the fuck, what type of cop would do that? Think about that. And especially these cops that have kids that are the same fucking age. Like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you thinking? Like, that's sick to me. And it's happening. It happened in 2016, 17, and 18 with the same sorority that Maddie and them girls were in, besides Kaylee. What is it, Pi Phi's? I think that that's just so fucking wrong. I think there should actually be a law against it. I don't think that you should be able to use anybody that's in an educational program. You should not be able to use somebody that's in that enrolled in school in that type of capacity. So based off of what Dave told me, these people weren't like slinging, like if like Xana had anything, or if people had anything, it wasn't like they were some. It was recreational. It was like, hey, get a little bit more because we're all throwing down on something, or hey, you know so and so, so can you like call and like and so it would be like, okay, yeah. So if like 6 people are okay, yeah, I'll get, you know, it would. This isn't jobs. This isn't people that are selling drugs because it's their job. That's not what was going on there. Yeah, party week. These weren't addicts. These weren't. If you want to look at something like that, that's your coal guy. That's your COL. That's your coal dude. 28-year-olds, right? Hang around fucking 20-year-olds. Quickly, how nobody wants to keep talking about that name. Meanwhile, that's in documents. Mind-blowing. Meanwhile, he lived right across the street from 1125 Ridge Road. You guys know that, right? You guys know where Cole lived, right? Speaking of which, about Emma and Demetrius, she posts from time to time on, and we're friends on social media. So I get my Emma fill. I talked with Emma when she was in jail. I don't know. Did you? Yes, I did. You know, it's really interesting how they got arrested, and then all of a sudden how they just boom drop charges. Yeah. I'd have to go back and I'll pull up all my emails from when I was talking through this. You have to like pay to be part of like whatever the inmate bullshit. And so everything, like you have to buy like credits, and then you have to like each time you're writing, it's like extra. Actually, I probably have money on my account still because I didn't use it all. I'll go back. You want to talk about a CI? That's where somebody would be a good CI. Think about when she got her what do you call it? Her DUI. That's how people get roped into shit like that after DUIs like that. And she basically told them to go fuck themselves. So the names that they're throwing around that drug world, I did my research, and that person wasn't in town. That BMW wasn't there. Trust me, I looked into the whole Gil aspect. I can't put him in Idaho. So I can put him in Arizona. I can put him in traveling. I can't put him in Idaho. I can't put him in Moscow. But I am still working the angle with the whole Brent Kapaka, who called in that on Brent Kapaka. Not so much him, but who called that in, and why that would ever turn out the way that it did. It should have never happened that way. So, they buy plane tickets to Arizona as an alibi. I know, but they have more than that. They have more than that. They have phone pings. So unless they're buying tickets to Arizona and having somebody with their phone going, then it's more than just plane tickets that you'd be fudging around. I can get down with somebody else using their car and not that person using it, but I'm not going to get down with that person being in Idaho. Sorry. You want to know what has the best security in the country? Airports. You want to know if a guy was there or not? An airport has you 24/7, like boom. So you guys, the university is like who was basically running this. The university. The university was calling the shots. This was all about keeping it hush hush for the university. That's what runs this town. That's the money that they can't have. And then everybody that works or has a business there needs the university to survive. I mean, drugs is just drugs. Drugs is everywhere. Okay. But people going around and thinking that your town's not safe and that you can't, you're not going to send your kid there for school. It's just totally different. I believe that pastor has the connections, that church has control of a lot. Yeah. When I started realizing what you can truly do with churches, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. A lot of exploiting, saying you're going to help a single mom and her kids and stuff like that. And then that's just not what ends up happening. But we will keep at it. The drug angle is not a conspiracy theory. There are arrests in federal court documents that line up with this murder. Yeah, and you're banking on two of the parents being the reason, and that they're CIs, right? I'm well aware. And if that's the case, then Ann Taylor will go that route. But those drug dealers aren't going to go into a fucking place and start stabbing people. Sorry. Why not hot shot them all? Give them all hot shots. They OD'd. Done. Like, I just... Yeah, all schools have drugs. That's what I'm saying. It's not about the drugs. Remember when the big thing was going on back in the day about like rapes that were happening on campuses and the lack of reporting those rapes, and it's like, oh my God, no, this can't get out. That, remember the whole like rape, sexual assault shit, and universities weren't like reporting them, or how they were getting reported was all fucked up, and yeah. I think there's a lot of moving parts with this case. But I do think it'd be interesting that a potential in the making serial killer happens to pick this house where they play games with each other and prank each other with acting like each other's dying or putting masks on. It's crazy to think. Like, that's just wow. Like, what are the odds? And what are the odds that there's an issue with like the frats and the sororities and people are getting kicked out, and and then they play games with each other, and then they just come and go, and on the same night that something would have went down, that then the serial killer comes and, does the same thing, or like strikes in a way that all of these people have always pretended on social media when they have like each other, with these knives and coming behind them with masks. I mean, it's truly crazy when you think about it. It's very, very strange. It's very odd behavior. I never did that shit. I mean, when we would play jokes, on people, like we'd send fucking pizzas to people's houses and like fucking have like, I don't know, and we would intercept it for a second to like put something on the pizza that was like fucked up, like, oh my God. Like, I don't know, fun fucking pranking type shit. Like, I don't know. We would pull this fucking school alarm, the fire alarms at the dorms, and make all those fuckers get out at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like that type of shit. We would toilet paper or put tampons all over the boys' baseball field in the middle of the night on nights that we knew it was going to rain, so that they had to clean all that shit up. And then the boys' baseball team took it a little too far and put deer nuts hanging from our fucking balcony door. And that's when we fucking lost and said, okay, you've crossed the line. Like, and it caused a big problem. It was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, like we got into like a big tiff about it. So but for them, they'd be like, yeah, let's go with something bigger. Let's fucking put a whole goddamn wolf on a fucking porch. I don't know. But to prank people by like putting on masks and fucking knives and breaking in, like that's fucking sick. Like I wouldn't be friends with people like that. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? So I don't know. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining. We love you here. TNT, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Karen motherfucking Reed is innocent. And this case is wild, just as wild as probably, Idaho. So if you don't think corruption happens, join in tomorrow. You can see how the police and citizens put taillight on somebody's front porch or somebody's front lawn to say that a woman hit her boyfriend with a car. Much love, man. Much love. I'm going to have to give Pavarotti an email and say, all right, let's break down an episode. So peace out, guys. Take care. Thank you.